It's going to be a very simple message. One simple thought. I'm going to tell you the background where we don't take the time to read it. It would take a lot of reading to tell you. It's Joshua chapter 3 we're going to be in. And the story goes like this up to this point. God called the children of Israel, remember, and He brought them over out of Egypt on dry ground. They went into the wilderness and God said, I want to give you a land. And they went up right to the land and they sent some spies in. Remember the 12 spies they sent in? And the spies went in and they looked at the land that God had promised them. And they came back and there was 12 spies and 10 of them came back and all 12 of them said, it's everything God said it was. By the way, everything will always be what God said it would. Amen? Always. They said everything's what God said it was. But 10 of them said, Brother Tommy, we can't take it. There's too many giants and people over there. And one time they said, we're like grasshoppers before. Well, 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, man, they're sitting there chomping at the bits. I mean, they're saying, time out, whoa, yes, there's giants, and yes, there's other people, but if God's given it to us, let's go get it. Well, you know the story, they don't. God says to them, because of that unbelief, God says, you'll die off, and when you die off, I'll take your children, your next generation, and I'll put them in the land. And the man that God chose to do it through was Joshua. Now keep in mind, folks, you said, well, you're pretty hyped up this morning. I am. And the reason I'm hyped up this morning is because it's been built up inside of me a few days. Amen? But think about Joshua, Raul. 45 years been built up in him. 45 years. 45 years he's wandering around saying, guys, we can have it. Guys, let me take it. It's ours. I mean, guys, 45 years. And finally, that generation dies off, the Bible says. God says, okay, Moses dies, they die. God said, Joshua, you're going to take Moses' place. Tune Bo up. Is he doing okay? He's fine. Oh, yeah. How many of y'all had to tune your kids up before? Might say amen. How many of y'all got tuned up? How many of y'all got built? How many of y'all got complete overhauls? I think JT, I don't think he tuned. I think he tore up and then rebuilt. Mama, only one time in my whole life, he was hammering me one day. I mean, just hammering me. Mama walked in the door, said something to Daddy. Daddy never hit my mom, or never in his whole life did he. And once I said, why did you hit Mom? He said, because she's the kind that I'm asleep at night, she'd get a gun and shoot me. He said, I couldn't, if I didn't want to, but if I ever did, I wouldn't live to the next morning. He said, she'd be one of them ones, that movie you saw where they tie you to the bed and light you with gas and burn you. She came in and said, JT, you're telling me. My daddy turned and said, that's enough, Winifred. I said, oh, God. And then business picked up again. Matter of fact, I told Mama, like Tony Hudson told his mom. Dr. Hudson was beating Tony one day in the bathroom. Miss Jerry came in there and said, Curtis! Curtis! He kept his foot, kicked the door, and kept beating Tony. she came back to the door and knocked on it, and Tony said, Mama, don't come in here again. He's going to kill me if you do. But anyway, Joshua now is the one in place to take over what God's given him. Now in chapter 1, God tells him, I'll be with you. As I was with Moses, I'll be with you. Amen. He said, no man will be able to stand before you. He said, I'll be with you, Joshua. My promises that I made to your people, I'll keep. And you're going to go in, and you're going to have many victories. In chapter 2 is the story of Rahab the harlot. The one that is a harlot that believes in God, and God saves her family because of her belief. Now we pick up in chapter 3. Let's start reading in verse 1, and I prophesy we're not going to make it past the phrase in verse 3. Joshua 3, verse 1. Let's read it together. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and they removed from Shittim and came to Jordan, he and all the children of Israel, and lodged there before they passed over. Keep me going. And it came to pass after 3 days that the officers went through the host. The host there is all the people. It's the nation Israel. And that's what it means when it says the word host. Verse 3. And they commanded the people, saying, when you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God. I'm not preaching on this, but the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God in the Old Testament was symbolic of the presence of God. Amen. Okay, follow me now. God told them a number of times, where it goes, you go. When it sets still, you set still. When it goes forward, you go forward. That's my presence. That's my leading of you. That's what the ark of the covenant of God is. And they commanded the people, saying, when you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priests, the Levites, bearing it, then ye shall remove from your place. And here's the message. If God will give me about 10 minutes of air, that's all it'll take. That's all I can do. Here's the message. And go after it. Go after it. I was watching a football game years ago. One team just beat the stew out of the other team. I mean, the poor old quarterback hit back up, and I mean, every time he'd back up. I mean, them beasts were just trying to tear him apart. I think they sacked him 10 times. That's a ton of those sacks. After the game, they was talking to the coach of the defense that did all the sacking and the tackling. And they said, man, your team was good today. He said, yeah, we got after him pretty good, didn't we? We said all week long, we heard how good he is, how good an arm he's got, and how fast he is, and how they were going to beat us. And he said, our boys all week long run around hitting each other saying, we're going to go after him. He said, they got off of the bus in the parking lot wanting to tackle him. Now look at me, church. Here's the message. It's time to go after it. Amen. Do you hear me? I'm talking about you shaking your heads and nodding them. And you mean that, and I'm glad you are. That's better than sitting there looking at me like a calf at a new gate. But that nodding ain't going to get it done. We got to go after it. I'm not putting no feather in nobody's hat. I'm really not. It's the grace of God. You know and I know that if any of us ever do anything good, it's by the grace and mercy of God. Somebody say amen. So it ain't that this guy's greater than this one, this lady's greater than this one. It's just that some of us go after it sometimes. I called the Potter's house a few weeks ago. I've had a burden for them for a while. How many of y'all remember when we used to bring in 10, 15, 20, 25 of them?
Amen.
Y'all remember that? Some of y'all do? Bringing in 1 and 0 lately. And I've tried for 2 years out there. I have tried to get in and tried to do things. And finally, about 2 weeks ago, I called it. They got a new guy, this operations manager, basically. I called out there and I talked to him and I said, Wes, this is Pastor Strickland at Grace Baptist Church. He said, yeah, Pastor, how you doing? I said, well, I'm doing okay, but now Wes, you're in authority. You're in the place to help me help those men this coming year. Do you hear me? I want you to help me get out there more and tell me what I've got to do it. He said, well, preaching in chapel already. I said, yeah, every 3 months, and that's fine, but I want more than that. He said, can you be a volunteer and come out and help them serve lunch, clean dishes, and sweep the floor? I said, sure. He gave me the website, and I got on there and signed up. I'm already scheduled the next 4 Wednesdays to do that. He said, and that'll give you a chance to intermingle with the men and everything. There you go. Then he called me back the next day, and he said, by the way, you've been wanting to do a Bible study for years. I said, I have. He said, I think we're going to let you do it. There you go. He said, are you willing to make the commitment? I said, done made. He said, listen, they pay me to do nothing. I got plenty of time. That's what some folks say. Well, he's a pastor. He don't work for a living. Yeah, won't a bunch of you jump in and do it? Oh! Yeah, they ain't beating the doors down there for to do it, are they? Anyway, went there this morning, had a packed house full of men. We sang a little bit. I preached a few minutes. Had 12 men raise their hand and say they accepted Christ and make sure of their salvation. I was walking out the door, and that's why I brought this story up. Walking out the door, and I was shaking all their hands, and they kept asking me, what church are you from? I realized I hadn't told them, and I said, Grace Baptist. And one guy said, I want to try to get some guys to come. If you believe what you preach this morning, you say, preacher, how's that going to help our church? I didn't think everything was supposed to help our church.
Right.
But I'll be honest with you, I think it will. Somebody say amen.
Amen. Right.
The jail ministry, we don't see, quote unquote, great productivity back to us for that. We get a letter every now and then, and we have some saved every now and then, but we go up there and minister. The bus routes, they run out every Sunday. Every Sunday. But I want them to do better this year.
Amen.
I want to go after the bus ministry. I believe God can give us the money through some people to get a couple of decent buses.
Amen.
I don't need your amen. If I get 1 amen or 500, I'm not preaching it for that, bless God. I'm going after it whether you do or not.
Amen.
That's what God built this church on 20 years ago. This church has always went after everybody, every way we can, and reach anyone that we can. We had over 20 in our adult Sunday school class this morning. The first Sunday we met, we had 4. How many of y'all, just raise your hand. If you wasn't going to Sunday school and you've started going to Sunday school since we started the class, do me a favor, just real quick, just stand up if you will. Come on, stand up. The ones of you that visit, come on, stand up, Paul, y'all get up. Look at that. Look at there, church. If you can be seated, look at that. I'm talking about going after it. God told Joshua to tell them, when you see the ark of the covenant of God, go choir. They meet every Sunday up here. And some of them don't get home till 2 o'clock or so and got to come back at 4 to practice. And they're doing great as far as I'm concerned. That's called going after it. Going to the jails, going after it. Running the bus ministry is going after it. Teaching Sunday school, Brother Mike and Miss Canna and all of the teachers of Sunday school, that's going after it. Standing out there being an usher and handing things out to people and taking the offering up, that's going after it. God gave us a good year in 2018. You don't believe He did? Okay, I'm going to have you stand again. The ones of you that are here and coming this year, whether you're a member or not, and you wasn't coming on a regular basis at all this time last year, stand up.
Amen. Amen.
Look at that. That's good. Amen. You may be seated. Hey, we got a bigger Sunday school classroom ready. I was looking there this morning, Brother Joe. Brother Joe Toole came down and took the shelves off and sanded the walls, and we're going to let Kelly and them pick out the colors. You let Baptists do it, it might be purple and yellow. Let a Baptist woman do it, Miss Kelly's going to do it. Amen. Amen. Hey, don't let me do it, because I have red and black little bulldogs on it. Somebody say amen. Huh? So y'all got beat by Texas. I'm still a dog, son. We knew we was in trouble that game when the two mascots, when they took Ugga over there and Bevo, the big old Longhorn, tried to kill Ugga. We should have knew right then we was in trouble. Last time I checked, little Wings Bulldog ain't much of a match for a big old Longhorn. And we wasn't either on the football field. Somebody say, oh man. But hey, we'll tear that wall out if we need to get more room. We had to set out chairs this morning.
Amen.
I believe this year, God's going to fill this place up.
Amen.
I believe that some of y'all get off of your dust
Yes, sir.
and stop talking about it. Hell's walls are paved with good intentions. Stop talking about getting right. Stop talking about getting back in. Stop talking about doing it and go after it. Get up on Sunday mornings. Come to the house of God. Walk in here with a bucket. Get your blessing. Sing the songs. Listen to their preaching. Bring somebody. Go home. Come back. Jump in the choir. Get on a bus route. Teach a Sunday school class. Be an usher. Get some money. Do whatever. But go after it.
Amen.
Talk is cheap. How many of you know that?
Amen.
Well, I tell you, I know I should. Yeah. It will never happen. And you know what I'm battling, church? I mean, you may understand it, you may not. Just my mom passed away months ago. And I don't know that it was that necessarily, but I have battled some things in my mind and brain that have got me down. Tried to stop me. Tried to get me to give up and give in. Throw in the towel. You've been doing it 20 years. Let some young man take it. You've done all you can do. Just do something else and cruise a while. That's what I've been battling the last few months. Because you know what it takes? It takes going after it. You know what it takes? It takes going to bed. It takes getting up on Sunday mornings. It takes coming to church on Wednesday nights. It takes passing tracts out to everybody you can. It takes inviting people to church. It takes going after it. I went up and saw Brother Kenneth Martin, Brother Todd's dad. He's in Northeast Medical Center up in Gainesville. He's had multiple strokes, and his heart's weak. He's really had a bad few days. Well, I went up and saw him Friday morning, and I walked in the room, and he's always glad to see me, and I'm always glad to see him. I shook his hand and asked him how he was doing. And then I thought back to the day I led him to Christ, Brother Joe. Sitting in a little old lounge chair on the front porch of his brick house in Staley. I remember giving him the gospel, and I remember him saying, I said to him, Brother Kenneth, do you want to be saved? And I remember what he said to me, Kevin. He said, I've wanted to for years. Nobody had never sat down and done what you've done. You know what's sad, Brother Greg? He'd been to a bunch of churches. But nobody had never just sat down and gave him the gospel and told him how to be saved. He got saved. And I walked out of that hospital Friday morning, you know. Got back on that little courtesy thing, took me back out with the van to the church. Van, we drove up there. And I got to thinking, now if he dies, he's going to heaven, Brother Joe. Because there was a day that I went after him. And his church is full of those stories. It's Jimmy, Tool, and Joe. I called them one day. Said, what are y'all doing? And they said, well, we're sitting on the front porch, I think they said, or in the living room drinking coffee, which is nasty. But if you like coffee, that's fine. But they were talking about this coming year, about getting the bus ministry and being part of it. Amen. He picks a van up every Saturday or Sunday morning. He leaves about 7:30, 8 o'clock. He brings people in. He gets home about 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon. 2 of them got saved 2 weeks ago. Amen. If you think preaching and teaching is all there is to it, then you're messed up. You think? If you think, well, I just come to church, pay my tithes, and show up, no. That won't build a church. Going after to build a church. Going after. Cynthia played the piano this morning at Pensacola Christian College. She started coming to our church years ago through the bus ministry. Matthew sitting on the second row. Miss Joanne, her whole family, reached through the bus ministry. Miss Jimmy, we talked about the way we got Jim and Gail Helens. And all them was, I was on visitation one Saturday afternoon. Her and her son was at a trailer park over behind where the old Ryans. And I invited them, and the next morning the whole family came. I'm not putting no feathers here, but 25 people didn't just show up to Sunday school this morning. It took some phone calls, some text, some more phone calls, some more text, some visits, some more phone calls, some more text. It took going after. That's what it takes. I want our youth this year. Our youth group needs to be raised up. We need more youth. We need more helpers. We need more workers in this church. We need more teachers in this church. Right now, we only have a handful of people that really that have any experience at teaching. I was blessed this morning. Brother Greg stepped in with the experience he had and taught Brother Mike's Sunday school class, and I heard he did a great job. Amen. This is a brand new year, church. It's the first Sunday of 2019. It don't matter what you didn't do in 18. It don't matter what you didn't accomplish in 18.
That's right.
It don't really matter. It don't matter. This is another year. This is another opportunity. This is another chance to give extra money, to give some more money. And I'm not bragging on saying this, and I'll be careful. But you know, this week I was reading one of our missionary letters, and I want us to pray about doing this. One of our missionaries, Brother Robert Murillo, down in Mexico, he's building an orphanage because the country of Mexico is just giving him children and letting him have them to raise and train and educate. And he doesn't have enough money to build a building. And he sent out the letter and said, if you can get $17.50 for a square meter of the building to be built. And I just sat there and saw that. And I was looking at doing something, and it wasn't nothing extravagant I wanted to do, but it cost about $100. And it's kind of like I said to myself, self, we can do without that, really.
Amen.
But I could take that $100 and send it to Mexico. And that'd pay for 6 square meters of that building. For kids to be taught and trained and educated. Amen. Yeah. Just go after it. So I'm giving my 10%, then give 15. Or 20, or whatever you can. Just go after it. See what God does. I'm through. I preached 20 minutes. I really did. I didn't start with 10 minutes too. Let it sink in. Is this going to be the year that you go after?
Amen.
I read a book. I'll close with this, and then we'll stand. I read a book this week by A.W. Tozer called The Pursuit of God. I've read it probably 40 or 50 times in my life. It's been a while since I read it. Chapter 2 is my favorite chapter. The chapter is called The Blessedness of Possessing Nothing. And it gives the story of Abraham giving his son up, open to sacrifice his son. It's a great book. You can go online and get it free. If you want to look it up, it's A.W. Tozer, The Pursuit of God. I told Joe that, and he read the whole thing. But at the end of each chapter, A.W. Tozer says a prayer, Brandon. He ends the chapter with a prayer. And I can't remember the whole prayer, Brother Bobby, of that chapter, but I remember how it starts. He said, Dear Lord, I want to love you more. And I want to give you more. But I've got to let go of my toys. And my coward heart worries about letting go of my toys and my things. Lord, I come to you trembling because I love my toys and I love my things. I come to you trembling, but I come. That's what I want you to do. I want us to stand, every head bowed, every